What's going on? Welcome to Totally Blitz Podcast. We're in the Fight Club breaking down boxing. Canelo versus Ryder was over the weekend, and it was electric of a fucking card. As always, go down, like and subscribe to the channel and the video, and comment what you thought of the card or just the fight if you tune in for Canelo only. Let us know what you thought of the Canelo Ryder fight and who he should fight next down below. These are your hosts. I'm Paul. Pick and win of Concha, and I'm joined with.
What's up, man? It's your boy Marcus Primetime Penley, man.
Hey man, you already know it's that boy Kev, Water Boy Savoy, aka the Street Fight Enthusiast, aka the realest motherfucker you've seen in a minute, man. And Canelo versus Ryder, Marcus, man. I meant to send a meme in the chat, but I be faded. Be ready for it. We're about to get killed. We're about to get killed for this one. I like the fight. I'm not gonna lie to you. It came on at the same time as Gilbert Burns and Bilal Muhammad in the UFC, so I had to kind of have to maneuver things to the smaller screen so that fight could get But they were both the same thing, just decisions.
Thanks. Man, I'm definitely very disappointed. I think I was on here on our last podcast talking about this shit better not go to decision. I was rapping hard as fuck that shit better not go 12, but
no respect for Ryder.
Man, but hey, yeah, first thing before I even jump in on Canelo, man, shout out Ryder, boy. That boy was a dog. That boy had his nose busted open, had a Canelo come in front of him. That boy stayed in the fight the whole night. That's a tough fucking motherfucker for real, bro.
And the knockdown in the fifth round, when he got knocked down in the fifth round, he looked over to his coaches. People thought he was gonna he was telling his coaches and team, like, oh, like this motherfucker, like I might quit. He was really telling them, like, this motherfucker can't punch for shit. I'm gonna be here for all 12 tonight, and then got back up. That
boy looked at his corner and said, "Coach, man, you better tuck that towel, man. I just ate the fuck out that punch." Is
that the best he got to offer?
Nah, man, but that shit was crazy, bro. I was really blowed, man. That boy Ryder was really and he was taking some shots. It wasn't like Canelo wasn't landing or anything. Like, he was landing flush shots, landing flush body shots, but Ryder was eating them shits, bro. Just standing right there, and that shit was crazy, bro.
Yeah, I also took the under, I believe, too. We all took under 8.5.
Oh, yeah. I said 7. When I seen him get knocked out, when I seen him get the knockdown in the fifth, I was like, oh, yeah, it's coming. And I'm thinking, like, yo, this is when Canelo's going to take off. This is when Canelo's going to hurry. This is when Canelo's really going to fuck him up. No.
I was telling that to Kev before we recorded 288. I was like, a younger Canelo used to smell blood in the water. She had the shark fin. As soon as that, like, he would go in for the kill. This new Canelo, he should have swarmed him when he got back up. That motherfucker was on the ground for 9 seconds. You should have been on his ass.
Facts. That's what I noticed too. I feel like a Canelo a couple of years ago would have took this boy right out right after that straight right landed. But I don't know. Even when the Ryder got back up, Canelo was kind of doing the same kind of work, like just throwing those like one shot at a time, 2 shots at a time, not really even using his footwork, not closing the gap between them. And another thing that Ryder was doing really well that I noticed, that he was smothering Canelo's punches. Like, the way Ryder was coming in, he would smother Canelo's punches, and Canelo wasn't really able to like work around that, or like he wasn't able to like figure his way out of that, like him coming forward and smothering his punches. But man, I thought Canelo was gonna be able to take him out, and that shit. And after it got past like the round 8, I was like, oh yeah, this shit going to decision, bro. That shit, I don't know.
Hey, no cap though. The walkout is what really made me think he was.
Yeah, that was like some WWE shit, man.
I mean, Kings. They said he had like 150 mariachi bandman players going at it, going crazy. Walkout,
60,000 in the stadium.
I mean, walkout insane. King Good, you looking up? You're looking like Javante who? I was like, I'm not gonna lie, this beats Love Sosa a little bit.
Yeah, that walkout was legendary.
Nah, Sosa was for the culture though. That's a little different, but Canelo's definitely the face of boxing.
I was like, theatrically it beats him, but the culture knows like we want him to see that. I mean, that's a whole different culture. That was a whole nother culture.
Right, especially like our age group, man. What the fuck? We gonna put Love Sosa over anything.
Facts.
Nah, but that walkout, like you said, I thought when I saw the walkout, and the moment I saw them in the ring, I sent the text. These motherfuckers fighting in a bathtub. I didn't realize Canelo had the smallest ring possible. I just got into the noticing ring sizes and shit. Like, okay, this is a small ass ring with a fighter that doesn't use any footwork, doesn't use angles, is gonna be in front of you all day, and you couldn't take him out. You couldn't finish it. You couldn't get the KO. That was just my biggest like. I know what I said about, if you don't finish him within 6 rounds, what I'm going to say. And I'm still going to say it, bro. Like, this is the time to turn the chapter. It is time to turn the chapter with Canelo because, like, young Canelo would have got him up out of there, especially when he hurt him. He's just not as aggressive anymore. He's just throwing these 1 or 2 punches, 3 punches. And even in the second half of the fight, I felt like Ryder was winning not a lot of the rounds, but there was rounds I was giving Ryder because I was like, okay, Ryder's hitting with.
You know what's crazy? You know what's crazy? In the press conference after the fight, I was looking at Canelo, bro. I was like, fuck, bro. You go look at his face. Canelo's popped up, bro. Like his face is. Canelo's, yeah. You seen all the welts and lumps and redness on his face. I was like, damn, he actually got hit way more than like what you were thinking watching the fight. And I'm like, wow. That was low-key a tougher fight for Canelo.
One of the judges gave Canelo every round. And they're like, of course, they're saying that like, of course, Canelo won unanimously. Don't get me wrong. But to give Canelo every round that fight, I thought was kind of crazy. Because there was definitely some rounds, especially in the later half, round 11 and 12, I would say definitely goes to Ryder. The last 2 rounds, Ryder was way more active. Canelo was kind of okay with this. I felt like okay with coasting to the victory at that point. He like it didn't matter. He wasn't looking for the finish. And jumping back to the fucking 5th round knockout, he would have swarmed him. And like a young Canelo would have swarmed him, and it put David Benavidez into his shoes, David Morrell into the shoes. They would have been on his ass in that 5th round. That fight wouldn't have made it past round 8 if they got that knockdown in the 5th round. Like especially in a small ring. Once I saw how small that ring was, Marcus said, "Oh, book the KO, book it. Like it's time. Don't even think about it. This is a small ass ring. They're gonna be in front of each other." I love Canelo. I still think he's still a top tier boxer, but he's not the best boxer at 168, and I'm not afraid to say it.
He's not. I honestly, that's like my guy, man. That's my man's Canelo. But it sucks to say he's definitely not pound for pound in the world anymore. But not saying that he still can't get to that. I mean, I'm still not gonna write him off completely, but he's definitely taking a couple of steps back from going back to the Bivol fight, to the Triple G fight, and now this. Like he's not putting his punches together. He's relying on 1 to 2 power punches at a time. He's not closing gaps well. There's like, I don't know, man. He just don't got that killer instinct in him. Or like kind of what we've seen against Billy Joe. Like we haven't really seen that. Where he's coming forward and really trying to get that pressing that knockout and shit. Like, I don't know, bro. Definitely taking some steps back.
John Ryder blocked the right hand that still stumbled him. And at that point, I felt like Canelo just unload. Start letting your punches go because you're hurting Canelo, even if they're blocked.
It's not like Canelo's losing power or his punches don't his punches are deadly and they still got all the pop in the world. But the problem is the dude isn't putting his punches together. Or even the knockdown, like the 1-2. Now imagine if he did a 1, 2, 3, 4. Like what if he just came down the bed like 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, like just like coming, putting more pressure. I don't know. I feel like he could have really got Ryder out of there.
Real Mexican style. Just bite down on your fucking mouthpiece and let the hands go.
Or you go look, let your hands go like what you was doing with Triple G in the first 2 fights, where you was just sitting there standing in the pocket and letting loose and shit. Another thing I noticed. Where the fuck was this dude's defense, bro? What happened to all those highlight clips of Canelo weaving, ducking, bobbing, weaving, doing the Mayweather shit? What the fuck happened to that?
Looking, weaving shit and shaking his head like, no.
Yeah, right, bro. We did not. All he was doing was this. was doing this, and then I understand Ryder was like smothering you and getting in the inside, but bro, like Ryder should have not have touched Canelo as much as he did. There was no defense, there was no footwork, nothing, bro. Like that shit was kind of annoying to watch. Like he still dominated the fight and like still got the clear dub, but man, there's so much like what I was looking for in Canelo, former pound for pound. I can't put him at number one or even number two. I would put Inoue over him. I'll put
Usyk,
probably like Usyk,
Bud.
and I would even be tempted to even squeeze like Bud or Spence above him, bro. In all seriousness, for real.
Yeah, that makes sense because Spence does go before Bud.
Nah, all right, now you fucked up. Now Spence is getting bumped down to 12.
I don't think he even made it cracked it, bro. But all serious, I will give respect a little respect to Canelo on the fact that his post-fight presser. He first off he said he wants Bivol, same terms, same everything, which I don't respect. But the one part I did respect was he did bring up Benavidez' name, and he actually does. It seems like he acknowledged it. Maybe we do get that fight. I'm hoping we get that fight, but he acknowledged it. But he did also seem like he's set on the Bivol rematch. He says it's going to be for the same terms in the same weight class, 175. I don't like that because Bivol gave you the opportunity. You lost. Now I feel like Bivol should have the right to be like, okay, I'm going to come to 168, fight for your belts. Since you are the loser in the last fight, I get to fight for a belt. But Canelo's like, nah, I'm not putting my belts on the line. I'm gonna fight you in your weight class. So like Bivol, like the fuck. I mean, yeah, Bivol's gonna get a big payday. Don't get me wrong, but like it's not a win for Bivol other than the money side. Like you already beat the guy, and you're not gaining.
Canelo doesn't.
You're not
That boy
gaining.
Canelo doesn't want to lose his belts.
He's
Not
fine.
at all.
Did Bivol express doing that?
Yeah, so he says he wants to go to 168 for his belt, and he said Bivol is on set on I'm not fighting you at 175. Like that's what his team and everything's coming like been saying is like if we're gonna fight, it's gonna be at 168 for your belts. Like, and if not, I'm gonna fight Peterviev for all the belts for undisputed. Because that's why I see why Bivol wants it. Because if Bivol goes down to 168 and beats Canelo, which I think in a rematch he beats Canelo, it doesn't matter 168 or 175. He beats and goes undisputed at 168 and then comes back to 175. And let's say he beats Peterviev and he goes double undisputed and then like back-to-back fight.
I think that would got to be the first ever Jit holding 8 belts, man.
That's what I'm saying. That's why I think Bivol really and why his team is set, and I think he's earned the right to get the fight at 168. Like,
and the crazy part is Bivol is still pretty young. He's not
20,
old.
like 27 or 20. Like he is young.
Yeah, that's crazy. He got a whole.
But I mean, I know Canelo is the money maker. Everyone wants the Canelo fight for the bag, but like outside of the bag, what else is Bivol fighting for? If you could do it at his weight class for his belt, like you already beat the guy, and they still didn't put you above him on the pound for pound list, which I think is bullshit.
I actually think that's crazy too. But I look at it like, hey man, get your bag, get another win, and then go get undisputed. But if you can get that power play and that chess move, do it. But I wouldn't. I don't think Canelo will budge because he can go just fight 100 other motherfuckers.
Nah, Canelo won't budge. I don't think because like he could lose again to Bivol.
That's the big what if. What if both sides don't budge, right? And Canelo's stuck at one because he damn sure don't want to fight for Turviev at 175. That is not the route you want to go, Canelo. But you want to fight who at 168. If you stay at 168, I said you won't. But if you do stay, like at that point, you have to fight Benavidez and Morel. And
honestly, I ain't gonna lie, bro. After watching that fight over the weekend, I don't even want to see the Bivol rematch. I want to see it less. I want to see him fight Benavidez because if he waits any longer on that Benavidez, man, that shit can get real ugly, bro. Yeah, Benavidez is just getting more into his prime, like prime age at least. He's only like in his 20s.
Benavidez?
Yeah, Benavidez. I'm pretty sure it's like he's in his 20s.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like if Canelo waits, let's say he fights Bivol in September. Boom. Now you gotta wait until next year, 2024, to fight a Benavidez. After your last 2-3 fights, you looking like you slowing down a little bit. I don't think that's good, or unless he's just never gonna fight Benavidez. But I think he got a plan to fight Benavidez, but I need to see that bit sooner, bro. Fuck that. I need to see that sooner than
And does
the
Benavidez
Bivol
stay
fight.
around and wait? Because maybe he gets the David Morrell
Exactly.
fight.
That's another thing. He's gonna move up to 175 also, and especially depending, like I would want to see a Bivol Benavidez fight undisputed. That would be tough.
Or Beterbiev.
Man, I
You
don't
never
know,
know.
bro.
That Beterbiev-Bivol fight is 50-50.
That shit, man. It's just there's so many like questions on the table with this Canelo shit now because of that fight. I was hoping we wouldn't have no questions. We would come in this big gassing up my boy.
Turn.
Send him
I
in.
mean, lit.
White boy summer might be coming to an end.
It might be, bro.
I'm back outside.
You only have so many white boy summers, bro.
You know, it's funny. All weekend, I kept seeing like boxing pages post all the like UK fighters Canelo's fought, and I'm like, damn, that shit really is white boy summer.
It's a long list, but they say he hasn't fought anyone of color in like 6 years.
Since Mayweather, or no, since Lara probably.
Yeah.
Oh, actually, maybe Kirkland too. I don't know. I don't even know.
Hey, I don't want to hate on Canelo, but like I said, you had to finish this in 6 rounds. You didn't finish it in 6 rounds. My bet didn't hit. None of my bets hit because all my bets was a KO for Canelo under 8.5 within 6 rounds KO. He didn't cash any of them. I said all the under bets died, and you can give all the respect to John Ryder, but at the end of the day, you are held to a certain standard when you are the face of boxing. And when you can't deliver anymore, I'll be the one to say it. I'll be the one to call you out on it. He's not delivering no more, bro. Like it's kind of like getting next day delivery on Amazon, but that shit comes 2 days later. That shit ain't right no more, bro. It's not the same thing. Out of all the fights, I'm gonna take. Would you rather? So out of the Canelo's next fight, I asked this to Kev, not the Canelo, but I asked him this question in the UFC recap when we got to the end. Who do you want to see Canelo's next fight?
His next fight?
Barry, if you were the matchmaker and it's like no belts, no nothing, just who's the next fight? Oh, and then my belts are to be taken into account. But this next fight.
I mean, I kind of just already spilled my beans, but I'm going Benavidez, man. I think that needs to come sooner than any. I know he wants to get his revenge with Bivol, which I understand. But Benavidez is like that is like the biggest fight he could do right now. And if he waits any longer as he gets older, it ain't gonna be the same, or it won't be the same hype, or we just won't see what we want to see. And like, I don't know, I feel like it should be Benavidez, and then after that, say he looks good, or if he gets the win against Benavidez, then go focus on back on 175 and Bivol, and it goes from there.
Kev, if you're Canelo's matchmaker, who's his next fight?
And right, yeah. But I'm not gonna lie to you. I mean, a lot of roads don't look the best, but like he has to take one. So I'm just saying, like that Bivol rematch, I like it. Do that. Go to 168. Duck Benavidez a little bit more, and then figure something out. Because it's not looking too good for him. You don't want to go fight Bivol again, lose to Bivol, come to your weight, come back to your weight class, and then get beat by somebody. Get beat by one of the killers, and now you lost all your belts, and you're on a 2-fight losing streak in boxing. We're gonna start thinking he Anthony Joshua.
I don't.
But at the end of the day, I'm still rocking with my dog Canelo over anything, though.
He's a
big Canelo still.
Generational fighter, but at the performance I just watched with Ryder, I couldn't sit here with a straight face and say, yeah, the rematch with Bivol is gonna be any different now. If anything, I think it's gonna look even worse.
Yeah.
If he goes up to 175 and he loses again, and this would help my point of his last fight at 168. If he goes up to 175 and loses again, and at this point, because by the time his next fight will roll around, will be May of next year. But let's say September he loses the Bivol. Would you be shocked to see if he retires? That's because if he retires and lost the Bivol, and because afterwards, like Marcus said, you don't want to fight Benavidez a year later where you're aged even more, maybe coming off another loss, and then you lose all your belts at 160. I could see him losing and then like just being like, all right, like I'm not how Jorge Masvidal retired. I always when I come to fight, I fight at 100%, and I haven't been 100% in the last year or two. So I'm calling it like it's been a great career. Da 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 da. Because I just can't see him taking a loss to Bivol, then going back to 168, and then taking another loss. Because then you really just gonna retire on like you're looking pretty bad on your way out.
Yeah, facts. I mean, it's gonna get real sticky if like he goes and loses again to Bivol. Because I mean, like you said, like what does it look like him going back down to 168 and then fighting another monster in Benavidez, which he could easily lose that fight. So I mean,
Morel's like 25 and still giving Morel a year to get better.
Like I don't know, bro. I hope he don't lose that fucking fight against Bivol because I ain't ready to see my man's retire yet, man. I didn't think he was that old, but at least by age, like 32 is old, but it's not like ain't that crazy, but he has also fought 60 something fights. So I mean, I guess that shit could be catching up with, bro.
That's the one thing I learned with MMA stuff is like age is part of the prime. It's like you look at the age and you can be so confused on what the prime is because Max Holloway's still in his like he just turned like 31 or 32 and you'll be like, oh yeah, he's about to enter his prime. It's like, nah, motherfucker's been in the fighting game since his 20s. And like you age differently and you're in the fighting game. You know that number don't like Beterbiev. It's like almost like 37 and he's in his prime right now just because he doesn't have a lot of bouts and a lot of wars and a lot of shit.
Or even a Lomachenko.
Yeah, like
Lomachenko turned pro when he was like 28.
Yeah, fighting ages you a lot quicker than what other sports will. Like other sports, you'd be like, okay, from the age 24 to 29, that's their prime. And it's like, no, in fighting, it depends on did you start at 18 or did you start at 26?
Yeah, especially MMA is really different because I feel like a lot of guys don't even get their names out there until they're like in their 30s almost. Now it's starting to be a little bit different where there's a lot more younger guys, but I feel like before it was a lot more older.
Yeah, so that's right. My thoughts. He might go up to 175, lose, and then there's nothing in 168 for him. Like you can retire undisputed at 168, and you could retire only 3 losses on your career: 1 to Mayweather, and 2 to Bivol, who is still so young, could go on to accomplish a lot of great things. Like he might go undisputed at 175, and if he moves up to the cruiserweight, who the fuck is stopping him there? Or he's small enough he could cut weight after he retires and go down to 168. Like so, Bivol, like there's one of those losses on your resume that might age really good in the next 10 years if you leave it at those losses.
But
yeah, I hope he doesn't do that. I feel like he has a warrior spirit still in him, and he'll figure it out. Maybe slow down on the fights. Maybe start fighting once a year. Fight lesser opponents, but I don't think he'll retire.
The
one thing I will say
retiring is if Charlo fight actually happens.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think he can beat.
One thing I think if he does fight, when he does fight Bivol, I do think we'll see a better Canelo than we did over this past weekend. But I mean, at least I hope. I hope this weekend isn't really what Canelo really is, or the left of Canelo.
No, that's facts.
All right. Well, shit. There's not much else to talk about with this card. I mean, the undercard was pretty underwhelming. The main event, I mean, it was a good main event. If it wasn't the name Canelo next to it, I would be like, it was a good main event. But it's just you are to face boxing. I'm gonna hold you to a different standard. Like you should have got it was in your hometown. People were showing the last like 5 great fighters that got a hometown fight, and all 5 of them got like a KO within the 6 like early. So it was like that's the only reason I'm coming so hard. You're that great. I'm gonna come at you a little harder. I almost left without saying this. Edgar Berlanga better not be his next fucking opponent. Eddie Hearn keeps tossing that shit into the fucking mix. Like, oh, maybe Berlanga's his next opponent. The only way that happens is if they know Canelo's toast and they just need him to look really good one last time. But Edgar Berlanga should not fucking be in the mix for an undisputed title shot.
Fuck no, that boy needs to build his resume back up.
Motherfucker, you can't go from biting off ears to an undisputed title shot.
I'm telling you that Paul's inner Stephen A. Smith, Skip Bayless comes out heavy when Canelo.
That boy Berlanga was in wars with like some fucking regular old bums. Like
Forbes. He wasn't on Forbes. Steve Rolls, and I still think Steve Rolls beat him in that fight.
Yeah, and low key, the fight I was at in Orlando where his first round knockout streak broke, but he eventually got the knockout, but it was later in the fight. Dude was in a fucking full out war in that fight too. So it's like these were like some regular ass dudes, bro. Like not even ranked and shit. So I don't even want to see that boy in some.
Yeah, Eddie Hearn likes to keep mixing his name. Like, oh, let's not forget about Edgar Berlanga. No, fucking forget about him.
It's because Edgar Berlanga got so much damn fans, but that's because Puerto Ricans ride for anyone.
No, the Puerto Rican, because I would got into a little argument about the next fight for Canelo, and someone tried to say the Berlanga fight would be next because it's gonna sell more. I was like, bro, no, what the fuck?
It would have sold more if that boy Berlanga didn't fuck up, and he kept staying on pace where he was originally at.
But we got to get out of here. We love talking Canelo. We love Canelo fight weeks. I mean, he is still the face of boxing. It was a hell of a walkout. Shout out John Ryder. I thought you were going to get smoked. I mean, everyone thought you were going to get smoked. I think Canelo to get a KO, not just win. Canelo was like minus 1,500 money line, but to get the KO was minus 300. Like it was a big favorite for him to get this knockout. It didn't happen. We saw a 12-round decision. John Ryder got some balls on him. All right, I'll say he got the nut sack. That bitch is hanging low this week.
Facts.
Any last comments before we head out, guys?
Go Canelo, man. Viva Mexico.
Yeah, man, it's still big Canelo, man. I still got faith in my boy. I gotta turn it around, man. Get back in the camp.
Yeah, he's still the second best Mexican boxer in the game right now. Still top 2. Nothing to be ashamed of.
Ain't nothing to be ashamed of.
And then when Benavidez knocks his ass out for the undisputed title, I want Triple G in Benavidez' corner.
Boy, Triple G.
Want him in the corner. But that's enough for boxing. We got to get out of here. We broke down Canelo Ryder card for y'all boys. Hopefully y'all stay tuned for everything coming up. Not this week, but next week we got Haney versus Loma. This week we got Rolly versus Ismail. Rolly may become a world title champion. Everything's looking like it. We might see Rolly actually holding a 140 belt that doesn't have the word regular next to it. Tank. But as always, this has been the Totally Blitz podcast. This is Paul Pickle Winham Concha, Marcus Primetime Henley, and our special guest, if y'all see him all the time on the UFC episodes and the NFL episodes, Kev Waterboy, street fight enthusiast Savoy. If y'all didn't know, well, now y'all know, motherfuckers.